We're pleased to welcome now Don Redman, spokesman for AAA Mississippi. Hey, Don, good to see you.
Hey, good morning. Good to see you as well.
Yeah, we wanted to talk to you today about the kind of rise in teen fatalities on the roads here in Mississippi. We were visiting with Major Johnny Polis from the Mississippi Highway Patrol last week, and he was sharing some rather worrisome statistics about that, and just said it's primarily due to distracted driving. And also, he noted that I didn't realize this, that a long time ago we ceased it being mandatory to go through driver's ed in our high schools before you got your driver's license. I wasn't even aware of that, but apparently that's been reinstated, and so now it's a requirement that all the public schools in Mississippi will have to provide that coursework, and students will have to complete that before they get their driver's license. What are you guys doing with respect to this, Don?
Well, AAA played a role a number of years ago in trying to pass what's called a graduated driver's licensing program, where you get your full license in stages. And what we did in Mississippi wasn't perfect, but you know how lawmaking is. There's a lot of compromises. But it definitely is time to revisit some of those issues regarding underage or teen drivers, novice drivers, particularly like there's, as you said, the idea that suddenly we don't need driver's education was crazy, in my estimation. At least have a bare minimum. I know it's an expense. And maybe that was some of the motivation behind getting rid of driver's education, was because of the expense involved. However, what we saw as a result is a tremendous uptick in the number of teen fatalities. When we look at a 10-year period, say from 2011 to 2020, Mississippi had the second highest rate of teen fatalities in the nation, a rate of about 4.5 teen deaths per 10,000 licensed teen drivers. I think Kentucky led the state almost at 6, but the average teen fatality is 1.8. So we were more than double what the national average was. And some of the things that we can revisit as a state, in terms of that, we have zero requirement for supervised driving. Even when they're a novice driver, even when they have that intermediate or the beginner's license, most states have some kind of requirements that parents have to spend, and AAA recommends it, no less than 50 hours of supervised time that you want to spend as a parent. Spend time with your teen driver. The only way to learn how to drive is to drive. And so as a coach, your parent, as a parent, you're teaching them to drive in the rain, you're teaching them to drive at night, you're teaching them to drive in the fog, all the worst conditions, so that when they are on their own, you have more confidence as a parent that they'll be at least having some experience. But we don't require that. We also don't put limitations on passengers for those teens with intermediate driver's license. We focus on the phone, and rightfully so, but the number one distraction for a teen driver is a teen passenger. And the more teens you have in a car, if you have a teen driver with 3 teens, the risk of them getting into a fatal crash quadruples. So we need to, as a state, say, hey, wait a minute. Until you get your full license, we need to have some regulations. We do regulate like what times they can drive, from 6 in the morning, I think, until 8 at night, without any supervision. And the idea that there's some kind of person, at least 21 and older, in there. But we certainly think that there should be some serious requirements, limitations on teen drivers with passengers, with teen passengers, because that's a big distraction. But when we talk about that phone, AAA did a study a number of years ago. It was groundbreaking. It's a 7-year-long study. We had a dash cam. We looked at over 1,700 crashes involving teen drivers to see what was going on the last 6 seconds before that crash occurred. What was going on in the cabin of that car? And what we found, that 6 out of 10 crashes involving a teen driver involves some form of distraction. That was astonishing, because the the federal government estimated 14% of teen crashes were involved in distraction. No, it's more like 60%
Hmm.
of those crashes. And of course, again, we mentioned the teen passenger, but the second one, biggest distraction right behind that teen driver or teen passenger is the phone. Because as we know now, our phone is a lot more than just making phone calls. I mean, and even texting is one of the least of our concerns. Out people are streaming movies, they're making videos, they're FaceTiming, they're doing all kind of things with that phone now, even including GPS, and the
Wow.
distraction level is unbelievable, and we need to address that. We're losing on average in Mississippi about 33 young people a year uh,
Man.
due to driving errors, and a lot of it is this, again, distraction, reckless behavior. That's the thing. Teens are the ones most likely to make the most risky choices, but they don't have the experience to back it up. So maybe on the average, for adult fatalities, speed accounts for about 25%. It has a role in about 25% of all fatal crashes involve speeding. For teens, it's 44%. So
Hmm.
not only, and as you know, I mean, I was a young man at one time. When you're with other young men in a car, you kind of show off a little bit. You
Yeah.
take higher risk, and so, but you just don't have the skills to back it up. And
Where do we
unfortunately, it
rank,
leads to fatal
Don?
encounters.
Where do we rank in terms of teen fatalities relative to the other states?
We're second highest. We're right behind Kentucky right now.
Wow.
But as a state, we're number one, and that involves all drivers.
Okay, I
We
got
have
you.
we lose about 26. The death rate is 26 per 100,000
Man.
residents, and yeah, it's really high. So I think the closest is Wyoming, and then it's a big drop off from there.
Okay.
Mississippi overall drive, but again, when it comes to just the teen drivers, second in the nation.
Man, does the quality of our roads have anything to do with that? Or are we behind
Sure,
the other
there's a
states in
lot.
that regard?
I think that you run into a lot of rural states. You're going to still have a lot of two-lane highways, which always present itself. Don't have the big opportunities for mass transportation. Some of our rural areas, and the conditions of our roads. We know how a lot of our roads score D's and worse than just the condition of the road. So all of that combined with, of course. Uh, Lax restrictions on our young drivers.
Interesting.
And as an parent, we kind of are hurrying up to get our kid to, so I don't have to chauffeur him around. Here, you went to a driver's ed. Here's the keys. Be careful. When we're not spending that time, again, we strongly encourage parents to spend at least 50 hours. And that's a hard, let me tell you, I've done it with my kids, and that's hard. It's not easy, but I feel much more confident in them once I gave them that full permission. You're on your own now.
Yeah.
And as parents, we just have to do that.
Man, it's just astounding, and it's worrisome and disturbing that we're at the bottom of the list there, or second, but at the bottom overall is what you're saying. And
Oh,
right,
absolutely. Yep,
man,
absolutely. At the bottom overall for all drivers, regardless of their age, we're definitely the worst.
we got to work on that. So before we go here, is there any legislative efforts that you've got underway, perhaps in the state of Mississippi, that you think could turn that around and improve that?
We don't have anything right now, but we are in discussions with some lawmakers, see if they will sponsor some things. It's always a tough sell, but I think the things that we need to do is that we need to incorporate teen passenger restrictions until you get your full driver's license, and we need to have some kind of requirement in your beginner stage to have supervised driving, and that would
Okay.
require parents signing an affidavit. I mean, because they can, but the truth will be on them. But sign an affidavit that yes, I have spent 25, 50 hours with my child before they get into that intermediate stage.
Got it. Don, appreciate you joining us, and let's keep working on that. Sobering statistics, but we got to be honest about it, recognize it, and address it. Thanks, Don.
Well, thank you. I appreciate the opportunity.
You got it. We're coming right back, folks, in the Element Wealth studio.